Hi guys, welcome to XtraTalk. Today we have two panels again. We have Eyejax and we have Sahbi. Guys, welcome.
Hi guys.
All right, guys. So today we're going to cover some Ajax topics again. I'm pretty sure you guys have some opinions about this. So let's start with the first one. The first one is actually, we only have 1.5 weeks, right, for the transfer window to shut down, basically. We still have Onana and we still have Tagliafico. But now there are, of course, rumors about Dest leaving, which is likely to happen. We already lost Ziyech. We already lost Donny van de Beek. My question to you is, considering what we have right now, are we Champions League proof? Are we able to compete with the Champions League teams this season? What's your take, Sahbi, on this one?
Obviously, we're one of the biggest teams, but we're definitely not Champions League proof with regards to the elite teams. And when I talk about elite teams, I'm talking about the Bayern Munich, the Manchester United and the City. Not United, the City and the Barcelonas and the Real Madrid. We lack in defense. We lack a bit in midfield as well. Up in the front, we're good. We have a lot of quality. We have a lot of different players up front, but we don't have a real good defensive midfielder. Next to that, in defense, we don't have any backup. Central defense, we only have two players who play. Right now, we have Schuurs and we have Blind. Right behind, we have Timber, but he hasn't played a lot. So you can't really put most of the responsibility on him. At right back, if we lose Dest, we definitely need to get somewhere else because otherwise that would be an issue as well. And at left back, we only have Nico if he stays. So of course we have players, but in our team, but they're not Champions League proof yet. So in my opinion, we can compete. We need to have a bit of luck during the draw, but I don't think we will make it that far with this current squad.
Eyejax, what's your take on this one?
I partially agree with Sahbi. I think there's a decent amount of players within the squad, but in the back we miss the depth. I'm starting to sound like a broken record because I've been saying this for like weeks now, maybe months, and we do not have the sufficient backup to play a whole long season with a lot of matches cramped up in a short time frame. So we need backup for especially the position of Blind. He's not been that fit because of his heart problems, and you don't know how it will develop the coming season. And the only backup we have for him is like Martinez. But also he's the backup for the left back position, and we rather see him on the midfield also at the 6. So it's difficult, and we have a few potential great players from the youth academy, like Rensch for the future, and maybe Timber for sometimes a little bit earlier than that. But we need like a few more players, I think. Considering the whole squad, we need a little bit more depth. I'm not that negative yet that Sahbi says we cannot compete at all at the moment. I think we can compete, but it's very difficult, and it depends on who we draw. We went to pot 2 because of Benfica lost.
Yeah.
So I think that is a big advantage, because if we were in pot 3, we could have gotten 2 very, very good teams, and that would make it a lot harder for us to go to the next round. So it's too early to say we will not do very well in Europe. It all depends on how the squad will develop the coming games in the Eredivisie. If the team spirit comes in the team, if the players learn to combine and play with each other, this is very important. This is something that has to grow in the early stages of the season. So it is too early to say, but it will be difficult. And if Bayern Munich is the standard for the big European giants at the moment, we definitely are not at that level at the moment, because those guys, I saw them play against Schalke last week, those guys are from another planet at the moment. We cannot, I think, compete with that level again in this season. So all depends on what will develop the coming weeks and how the results how the results are, and what the midfield will be if we do not get some big injuries. So it's too early to say a definite no, we cannot compete. I think the next coming weeks will show us.
All right. Just one thing, right? One final question about this topic for both of you. I've been doing some research, and Sahabi, you said that attacking-wise we're good. We were able to absorb, the loss of Ziyech and Donny van de Beek. Even in Champions League, they were instrumental, right? They scored, they delivered the assist. Also in the Eredivisie, of course. Do you think we have the attacking power, the attacking players that can substitute the goals and the assists that they are leaving behind?
Well, it will take time. Of course, all the players need to adjust. We have Kudus who needs to adjust. He plays terrifically in the last match, but still he needs to adapt to the system, and the players need to adapt to him. The same applies to Antony. They have a bright future ahead of them. Of course, we can compete. We can deliver. The thing is, last season we were very dependable on Ziyech. The time that we weren't, the time that Ziyech didn't play, we played horrible. It's not only because of him. Neres was also injured, etc., etc. But this season, it's most likely that it will become a team. A lot of players will, can play good in a good way together. We're not dependent on a specific player. So from that perspective, I do think that they will do great. And that's my opinion on this part. Yeah.
All right. Finally, on this topic, I want both of you to give me an answer on this one. Considering the current squad, even taking out Dest out of the equation because he might, of course, get sold, but taking into consideration that we will keep Tagliafico and Onana, are we going to be going to the next round of the Champions League? So basically, the question I asked you, are we Champions League proof? Will we qualify for the next rounds of the Champions League? Eyejax, your answer.
Yeah, if I have to answer now, I think we will be able to qualify for the knockout stage. But there are a lot of ifs and buts. What are the transfers the coming weeks? Are there incoming transfers to substitute the outgoing ones? How will the team develop in the first weeks? What are the teams that you get out of the draft for the Champions League group? So those are all ifs and buts that we do not know yet. So it's difficult to give you a final answer on the result in the future. It's always difficult, but especially with so many criterion that we do not know yet. So I do think we can qualify for the next round of the Champions League. I do also think that we need a little bit of strengthening within the squad still by buying some players we do not have yet. Also, I hope Ten Hag solves the puzzle at the midfield soon, because our biggest problem for me isn't even that Ziyech isn't there anymore. And believe me, I love the guy. He's terrific. He's been our star player. But attacking-wise, I think we can still cope, because we have a lot of creativity. We have Antony, we have Neres, we have Tadic, we have Traoré, we have Promes. Also Long, Labyad. We have a lot of attacking-minded players, even Ekkelkamp. And so this is not my concern. The biggest concern at the moment is the transitional defense. And because we have such a slow group of players, you call it the spine, Juan, the spine of the team, the center of the field, like the central backs and the double 6, 6-8. The players that Ten Hag prefers to play there are not the fastest ones. You have Blind and you have Schuurs. Those are both not players that run fast, that have big acceleration and great pace. So what do you have to do as that? If you're that kind of player, you have to position yourself well to be able to cope with fast attacking counter players. And De Ligt is also not the fastest player, but he could do that. And he was always usually in the right spot at the right time. What you see now against weaker opponents, Schuurs is doing very well, but he can just cope barely by chasing the opponents when he's behind. So if you play like against European elite, you get beat in the back of your in your back. They will pass you and you cannot recuperate anymore. So the problem is if you play with Gravenberch and Alvarez, the preferred two of Ten Hag, in front of those two defenders, it's too slow of a four-man squad. It's too slow. So it's very important that Kudus gets his chance next to Gravenberch, or even Gravenberch on 10 and Martinez and Kudus, because if you play with Gravenberch and Alvarez in front of Blind and Schuurs, you will get problems. You will get problems with transitional defense, and this will not be good enough for the European elite teams you will face in the Champions League. So, considering what Sahbi said about Ziyech, it's a big loss. We will definitely miss him. We will definitely miss Donny. But our biggest problem at the moment is the transitional defense and the slow players we have in the center of our squad.
All right, Eyejax, thank you. Very elaborate. Thank you for that. Sahbi, what's your take? Do you think we have a good enough players to qualify for the next round?
Well, first of all, I totally agree with Eyejax. That's exactly my opinion. With regards to whether we will advance to the second round, the knockout stage, I'm pretty optimistic that we will advance, depending, of course, on the draw. As Eyejax stated, we're luckily in pot 2, which means that we will avoid some big teams. Still, there's very strong teams in pot 3, so we need to avoid those teams to be very optimistic in getting to the second round. But take that into account. We need to trust on our own power. So yes, we will advance, but we need to do a lot better, because if Alvarez stays in midfield, then it will be very difficult. He plays decent, but but that's only because the level of playing in the Eredivisie is not that high. You can easily recover when you lose the ball. There are a lot of players who can solve the problems in midfield for him, or vice versa. But if we're talking about big teams, it's not doable. He's too slow. Even my grandmother is faster than him. It's really ridiculous. His ball control might be good, but his speed in handling the ball is way too slow. He's like the 0.5 of Daley Blind when he was in midfield. That was also another great solution, and he's, in my opinion, a lot better player than Alvarez in midfield. And we all saw that it didn't work out. So if that didn't work out, it would be crazy to play him in the first 11 when we play against such big teams. So if Alvarez plays, it will be difficult, depending on who will be drawn in pot 3. But if, for example, Martinez plays, that will be definitely a good thing. And then I'm pretty optimistic that we will reach the second round, and then we will see against which opponent we will play. But nonetheless, I think we will advance, but it will be very difficult to proceed to the next rounds after that.
All right.
So, this grandma of yours, is she a free agent or what? Because we can use a fast player in the team.
Expensive, huh? She's very expensive. So
yeah.
All right, guys. Listen, so we're talking. You guys both mentioned, right, that we lack a little bit of depth in the squad. If you look at the Champions League, right, it demands more of us as a team. But at the same time, you guys must have heard and read the news also from the SAR being on TV, but also talking about the financial losses that also Ajax is facing, during the Corona. If you read this, right, and you know that Ajax is taking a financial hit as well, do you think between now and October 5th, do you guys realistically think that Ajax is going to buy an additional player? Taking away Dest, because we know they already said that if Dest leaves, they're going to buy somebody. But next to that, is there any player coming in? Or do you guys think this is it? Eyejax, you first.
So me first?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. I think Overmars always has some tricks up his sleeve. So never count him out not getting any players. You remember the CF situation a while back? No, we're not buying him. We're not buying anybody until you lose one Eredivisie game and you have like a minor tragedy again. You know, like everybody in Amsterdam is stressing, oh, we're not as good as we think we are, blah, blah, blah. And they will buy 2 players. So I will never say they will not buy anybody until the transfer window is actually over, because it happened in the past so many times. But realistically, if we have to believe what Ten Hag says, like last weeks, that he's content with his group of players, and that if Dest leaves, they're going to buy somebody. You can count on it. They will not buy a lot of players anymore. So I think this is true, but yeah, I'll take it also with a little bit of salt, because it can still be, if a good opportunity comes by that Ajax cannot pass on, they have the money in the bank and they will definitely use it to seize the opportunity. So yeah, this is maybe not a definite answer, yes or no for me, because it's just difficult. Everything can happen, and I think still at least one player will come in. I think so.
All right, Sahbi, what's your take on this?
My opinion would be that I do think one player will come in. If Ten Hag and Overmars are smart, and they should think of buying a holding midfielder. It's clearly one of the positions that needs an injection of quality. We have Martinez, but Martinez, as Eyejax already said, he is the backup for Daley Blind. He is the backup for Nico. He's the backup for any midfielder who is injured or suspended. We can't go this way the whole season. I think Martinez should focus on 1 or 2 positions, and we clearly need a holding midfielder. And it's obvious. I mean, it's and Overmars is quite clear. If there's any opportunity which comes up, we will go for it. And I definitely know that he has a list. So if that comes up, we will get the midfielder.
The thing is, right, Sahbi, if I can counter you on that one. Look, I agree with you that we need depth in the squad. I agree with you that the holding midfielder position can be better. The only problem is I'm trying to think also in terms of what's realistic, right? If you go buy a holding midfielder, are you buying a first team player or are you buying a rotation player? Because the thing is, if you buy a first team player, what will happen to Martinez? And if you play Martinez next to that new person, what happens to Gravenberg? You understand what I'm saying? So how do you solve that problem?
Well, it all depends on competition. We need competition to uplift the level within the squad. So of course, if we get someone, we would have someone who can play directly within the squad. It's quite clear from it. Otherwise, we would better get a player from the youth squad to rotate. So for me, it should be clear that it will be it will be a starter.
All right.
If I can
yeah, go ahead.
A little addition to that, I think what Sahbi says is true, but I think we can also say it a little bit different, because he says it needs to be a holding midfielder. It doesn't necessarily needs to be a holding midfielder. You can also get a backup left central defender or a backup left back, or somebody who is sufficient enough to play there and has good quality, so that Martinez can focus on the midfield and be a stand-in if necessary, if one of those aren't available for those positions. So it may be difficult to get a holding midfielder because it's a difficult position. And maybe it's a little bit easier to find a central defender or a left back. So this is something you can do also. And don't forget, we have a few talents in the academy that can play there in the coming years, like Taylor. It's also a good quality player who can play on those positions. So we have like less backup for the central defender spot and the left back positions. We only have like Wrench in the academy at the moment that we saw play in as a backup in the preseason. Maybe there are a few more, but they are not ready yet. So I think it's better to buy somebody for the defense so that Martinez can focus more on the midfield and can also be backup in emergency situations. Because we already have a big group of players for the midfield and also some youth talents that are up and coming for the next year. So I agree with Sahbi that there needs to be one more player, but to give a little addition to that, it can also be a left central defender or a left back, in my opinion.
Can I respond?
Yes, of course. Go ahead.
No, the reason why I stated a holding midfielder is because Ten Hag clearly stated at the beginning of the season that he doesn't see Martinez directly as a midfielder, but he should focus more on defense, so more on the central defense and on the left back position. So that's why I stated we require a midfielder, taking into account that Martinez will be playing in defense in upcoming season. Although my opinion is I would rather see him as a midfielder unless Nico leaves.
Yeah.
All right, clear, guys. Thank you so much. On Saturday, we're playing against Vitesse. Before we end this extra talk, I just want your opinion, both of you, on the starting 11. What would be your starting 11 against Vitesse on Saturday? Sahbi, you go first.
Well, my 11 would be, of course, Onana in goal, Mazraoui, Nus, right back. We have Schuurs and Blind in the center and Nico as left back. I think Eyejax would agree with me on that. In midfield, I would put in Martinez. I would put in Kudus and Gravenberch. And the thing is that Gravenberch and Kudus could rotate. That will be a good initiative. But Martinez should keep the balance in midfield. And in the attack, I would go for Antony as a right winger. Left winger would be Promes, and in the striker position would be Tadic.
All right. Eyejax?
Yeah, there are a few questions before I can answer this. Do we think Gravenberch is fit?
Yes.
Can Neres play as the starter also? So these things are question marks for me. So considering that I have everyone available for the next match, my defense would be the same as Sahbi's defense. I would also go for Mazraoui above Dest at the moment. I think he played terrifically last game. So the midfield is difficult. We can do a lot of options. We have a lot of options there. Definitely no Alvarez for me. I think Martinez and Kudus are a good solution for the problems we have at the moment, because Martinez is also he has more pace than Gravenberch, and I would like to see Gravenberch how he can deliver as an attacking midfielder. So it's either Martinez with Gravenberch next to him and Kudus as a 10, or Martinez with Kudus and Gravenberch as a 10. So I agree with Sahbi on that. I want to see those guys play. Unfortunately for Labyad, I will take him out of the first 11 because I think he just doesn't cut it as the player for Ajax. He has some terrific skills, but he doesn't have the complete package that's necessary for him to be an all-round Ajax player, I think. At front, I will go for Tadic as a striker because I would love to see him back as a false 9. I think he's terrific for us there. He lacks the speed at the moment, I think, to be a fast winger for Ajax. He doesn't have that speed anymore. He is technical, though, and I think those abilities will come, will benefit us as a false 9. At the winger positions, I would play with Promes as a left winger, or Neres if he can play the whole match. But that's the big question mark. But for now, I think Neres is not match fit yet. I think for 90 minutes. So Promes gets the left winger position, Antony on the right, and I want to see Gravenberch as a 10 this match to see how he performs there. If we can see within the match that he struggles a little bit, switch it around with Kudus.
All right, clear. Interesting enough, I just had one more question. That's only about Labyad, right? You guys think he's not the starting 11 player for Ajax, considering the other players that are available, if everybody is fit? Can you guys give a brief answer?
Yeah, of course. You want me to go first, or?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
I think Labyad is a good player, but I think he lacks the qualities that we need as a false nine. He's not big enough to head the ball. Tadic is also not big, but he's bigger, and he's a little bit more smart in positioning and using his body. The thing is, Labyad is that kind of player that just doesn't have the skill that surpasses other players. It's all like, it's not bad, it's not great. So he is a terrific free kick taker. So that is a certain plus for somebody to be in the squad. He can play good combination football, but he never really convinces me that he is our number one. And I think it's not fair to also Traoré to give him more minutes than Traoré, because Traoré played terrifically also. And don't get me wrong, Labyad played very well in the preseason. So I do not say he's a bad player, but he's a good 12 to 13 man. Like from the bench, when we need him, put him in. I'd rather see some other players start and him giving a contribution when needed from the bench. That's my preference.
All right, Sahbi.
Yeah, I totally agree with Eyejax. He can't hold the ball within striker position. Traoré is at this moment a lot better than Labyad. Labyad had a great preseason, but still that's not enough to play at the first 11 within Ajax. The same applies for the wing positions. He lacks a lot of quality in comparison with Neres and with Promes or Antony. What I do like to see, but it's too early, I would rather have him. It would be good to have him tested in a midfield position, and don't see it not really as an attacking position, but more as a controlling midfielder position, like Pirlo in the past at AC Milan, Juventus. It might be a possibility. It's not realistic that he would deliver. But in the attack itself within Ajax, it's definitely not a player who can play at first 11. And as Eyejax said, perhaps the 12th, 13th, if people are injured, he might get in. He has excellent free kicks, so we might need him in terms of those aspects. But he lacks quality, and it's obvious that he would not be a starter this season.
All right, clear, guys. Thank you so much. It's been an extensive extra talk, a lot to cover, of course. Thank you for your time, and we'll see you guys next time. I guess the match on Saturday. Sahbi, you're up, right?
Yep.
All right, guys.
Yeah.
Take care, and see you next time. Hey there! Thanks for watching. A thumbs up if you enjoyed that video. Subscribe so we can bring you more awesome content. Do it.